So the sermon in the sentence is this, my friends, the big idea. In John chapter 7, verses 21 through 24, Jesus responds to the crowd's accusations by referring to Moses, the Sabbath, and judging. Right? All right, so let's start with point 1. I've only got 2. Accusing and judging. So let's start with accusations. The accusations are in verses 21, 22, and 23, where Jesus is responding. Jesus is falsely accused of breaking the law because he healed somebody on the Sabbath. They accuse Jesus of sinning, doing evil, violating the holy law of God. And they get it all wrong because, in fact, Jesus is sinless and holy. The problem is not with Jesus. The problem is with their understanding of the law and specifically the Sabbath. So let's lay down some Sabbath facts. First off, Sunday is not the Sabbath. This is not the Sabbath. The Sabbath is, in fact, Saturday. It's the 7th day. Sunday is the 1st day. Don't be confusing the Sabbath and Sunday. Baptists have been doing that for decades, if not centuries. The Sabbath reference starts really in Genesis chapter 1, Genesis 1, Genesis 2, but it's really articulated well in Exodus chapter 20. In Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, the Ten Commandments, if you will, where Moses is receiving the holy law from God in person on Mount Sinai, God says to honor the Sabbath day, honor Saturday, to do no work. To take the Sabbath as a day of rest. You get 1 out of 7 days off in honor of God creating the universe in 6 days and Him taking the 7th day off. God took the 7th day off after creating everything. We get Saturday off. That's the law. You're not supposed to do any work. Then there's Old Testament examples of a guy who's collecting firewood. You need firewood. You got to start fire. You got to boil your water. You got to heat your food. And this guy's collecting firewood on Saturday, the Sabbath. And if you break the Sabbath, that is punishable by death. They are not light on crime, right? So this guy picking up firewood on the Sabbath, they execute him. He died for picking up sticks on Saturday. If that's not a good reason not to cut your grass on Saturday, I don't know what is. I'm just saying. We could, something like that. Jesus in the New Testament will say, in Mark chapter 2, verses 27 through 28, he will say, Sabbath, yes, but I am the Lord of the Sabbath. Jesus will say that He is the boss of the Sabbath. Jesus will make a reference to the fact that He is the Creator God. He's the one that took the Saturday off. The law is to describe God's holiness in baby toddler terms so we can try to understand the innocence and purity of God's holiness. And that the Sabbath was meant to be a day of rest, but not a burden. You could do good on the Sabbath. And so in Matthew chapter 12, verses 11 and 12, he talks about doing good and being merciful on the Sabbath. It's okay to pull an animal trapped in a pit out of the pit so it doesn't suffer on the Sabbath. It's okay to heal a wound on the Sabbath. Jesus obeyed His law even though it violated their understanding of the law. They were accusing Him of a crime that, in fact, He was completely innocent